Good morning, student. In the last class we have studied about LEDs, right? So the second type of light source in optical fiber communication we are using is lasers. Lasers are mostly used light sources and they are highly efficient and widely used even. So we will learn about lasing action and what are the different types of lasers that are used. So coming to the laser diode, the abbreviation for laser is light amplification stimulated emission of radiation. So every word in the laser is very important, and that word itself specifies the operation of the laser diode. Light amplification. So laser is an optical source which emits the light energy, so the output is a light. Light amplification, the light that is generated from the diode, laser diode, is being amplified by some action. What is that action? That is stimulated emission of radiation. So the radiation that is being emitted from recombination of charge carriers is being stimulated. That stimulated emission process, we already know that there are three processes, right? Absorption, emission, and in emission we have spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. So specifically here the stimulated emission of the radiation from the recombination of charge carriers in the active layer results in the amplification of light that is being generated. So this is the meaning of light amplification stimulated emission of radiation. So each word of is also very important. So this specifies the actual definition, and it is the device which amplifies the light energy that is being generated, and the lasing action that is happening inside the laser device is specifically due to three phenomenon. One is absorption, spontaneous emission, and then stimulated emission. All the three mechanisms of light will be involved in the laser operation. So here you can see the three phenomena that occurs in the lasing action. So initially when the when the atom in the valency band wants to move to the higher energy band, then it takes some energy input and it goes to the higher energy level. This process we call it as a absorption. It takes the energy input. The second thing is the internal atoms gain some spontaneous energy and they start excited and they get recombined to the whole pairs in the valency electron. So this causes the emission of one photon, right? So this recombination. After spontaneous emission, what happens is when spontaneously, that is the random nature of electron hole recombination process happens, the photon energy that is being generated, what it does is it starts igniting the other electrons that are there in the higher energy level to get recombined with the holes. So they stimulate the other atoms at the higher energy level to get recombined and release another photon. The photon that is released by inducing one photon energy in the stimulated emission process is always in coherence, in phase with the photon which is making it to get generated. Okay. So all the three steps continues. First absorption will happen at the initial stage, and then later on a random process of emission starts occurring, that is it will be emitting the light, and this emitted light in turn makes other atoms to get excited and they get emit some more light. So when this process continues, when this process is increasing, then the amplification of the light happens. This is how light amplification will be done. And moreover, in the lasers, the amplification process can be made more coherent and more confined to the output region. How it is done, that we will see in the next slides. In the stimulated emission, incident and stimulated photon will have incident photon, that is the random nature. From the random nature, one incident photon will come and it will be stimulating the other photon, right? So the photon that is being generated, the photon that is being incident, as I have already told you, both are in phase. So when they are having identical energy, when they are having identical wavelength, so the narrow line width will start happening and they will have narrow beam width even. Okay, and this in phase, both are of having identical phase, makes every wave to travel in the same direction and they will be always coherent. Okay, and they even will also have identical polarization. So coming to the large stimulated emissions, see here, we have some electrons that are present at the higher energy level, some electrons that are present at the lower energy level. They gain some energy. Initially, they get two conditions to be satisfied for stimulated emission is the population of excited level should be greater than, that means higher energy level, the population at the higher energy level should always be greater than the population at the lower energy level. Okay, then only the more amount of light amplification will be happening. Whereas what happens is, initially when the stimulated spontaneous emission or the absorption happens, most of the electrons that are staying at the higher energy level starts coming to the lower energy level, and the population at the N1 will be more and the population at the N2 will be less. At the thermal equilibrium, N1 will be always greater than, in the previous slide you have seen the diagram, right? So at the thermal equilibrium, what happens is N1 will be greater than N2. So in order to make more light to happen and the amplification to happen, more amount of atoms should be present at the higher energy level than in the lower energy level. So this spontaneous emission, we have to convert it into a stimulated emission. So lasing operation should start by using this stimulated operation. For that, what we do is, we do a phenomenon called as pumping, the process by which the atoms are raised from the lower energy level to the higher energy level. We call it as pumping. When an energy is applied somehow to the laser, the medium to raise the atoms from the lower energy level to the higher energy level. So the external energy what we provide will start making the electrons at the lower energy level to go into the higher energy level, and this is how the pumping happens, and the population that is being accumulated at the lower energy level due to the thermal equilibrium will be converted into the higher energy level population, and more electrons will be present here for recombination and more amount of light can be outputted. That is the necessity of population inversion in laser action. So this is how laser works, and here you can see initially pumping is happening at the higher energy level. Starting level, the spontaneous emission starts happening due to random nature of photon releasing. This random nature photons that are released will act as the incident lights, and for the laser action to start, both the ends of the laser device will be coated with a dielectric material. So when the light photon that is being emitted will start reflecting back. So when an incident photon is there, so in the third diagram you can see one incident light will be generated from one electron hole recombination that will multiply in the sense it will generate another photon, that photon will be generating another one, that in the same way each photon will get multiplied, and more number of photons at the ending part of the third diagram you can see large number of photons are generated, right? So when they reach at the end point, when the photon light, we will have a reflecting surface. That reflecting surface will take the light energy to the output window. So that taking that light energy to the output window with the same phase, same direction and the same polarization makes the laser light to get more coherent. Okay, so at the output part or the opening slit of the device will have a coherent light output with same phase. So here this is the basic construction of laser device that is called as Fabry-Perot laser. It is a resonant cavity. It is a layered structure. It is layered structure where here you can see it is also a double heterojunction structure what we have seen in the LEDs, whereas in the Fabry-Perot resonant cavity, this is the basic structure of a laser. The ending part, that is the backside part, you can see it is coated with a dielectric material. At the last part it is coated with a dielectric material. So what is the use of dielectric material is, already in the previous slide I have shown you, all the light that is being generated from the recombinations will be should be reverted back. That means it has to be directed to the output slit, right? So at the active layer of the double heterojunction, we will have a small slit opening through which the light will be coming out. So inside in the active region, whenever the recombination happens, they start amplifying themselves and they reach to that ending part. So whatever the light that is coming out, it is okay. Some light may get escaped into the other region, right? So we need to take that light back to the output. So the dielectric medium will be reflecting the light back to the output slit, and all the light all the photons that are generated are in phase, so everything will come in a single phase. So that will be a coherent direction. So this is the Fabry-Perot laser cavity, and we also have distributed feedback laser structure which resembles same as your Fabry-Perot laser only, whereas at the top layer what happens is, here you can see it is a striped geometry structure. It is somewhat different from your Fabry-Perot, but the basic idea is same. So this is the distributed feedback laser construction. Here on this layer is having some curves like structure. This curves like structure resembles different refractive indexes. It shows the structure is having, or the material is having, varying refractive indexes at this particular point. Due to this varying refractive indexes, what happens is, this striped geometrical structure, the light that is generated at the active layer will have multiple reflections inside. So due to this multiple reflections, the light amplification will be improved. The light amplification is improved, and that's why it is called as distributed feedback laser. And same way in the Fabry-Perot, our output is coated with a dielectric material. Whatever the light that is coming out or that is going at the back end of this device will be reverted back, and it will be outputted through the small slit opening. Okay, this is the construction of your normal laser, that is the Fabry-Perot cavity and the distributed feedback type. So one more point we have to know here is, it is the threshold. Threshold in the sense, as you know, absorption, spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. All these three are contributing for the lasing action. At the equilibrium point, initially spontaneous emission is less, means a small amount of light is generated, that is too less. Okay, so when stimulated emission starts, then only amplification will be occurring. So when this stimulated emission occurs, when the laser reaches its threshold current. So whenever the laser reaches its threshold current, till then spontaneous emission will only generate the photon. When this threshold current has been reached, then the stimulated emission will be started and the lasing action will be started. Okay, this is about the laser device, its construction and its properties. Coming to we will see the differences between lasers and LEDs. Okay, LED are used for short distance communication, lasers are used for long distance communication. LEDs are basically spontaneous emission type of radiation. It is here, it is a spontaneous, but major light energy is contributed through the stimulated emission, and there the light is less coherent, whereas here the light is more coherent. In LEDs, it operates at lesser bandwidth, whereas lasers operate at larger bandwidths. Okay, it can carry large amount, lasers can carry large amount of data, whereas LEDs can carry very less amount of data. These are the two differences, and basing on these differences we can assess to what type of applications these two light sources can be used. Both are compatible for optical fiber communication basing on the requirement. Thank you.